back up, and we know that on the 15th, which is the Sunday following the Celebration Bowl, again, you guys are going to be doing a brunch.
Yeah, so there's a slurry of activities. I would say that we always we like to put our foot in Christmas first off, but when you pair that with Celebration Bowl, we do some unique activations and programming throughout that entire weekend. And one of them is that we will have a Grinch Who Stole Christmas. There may an appearance of the Grinch that'll pop into that, but really some again, our chef has done a fantastic job of curating a menu that's obviously worth that occasion or worthy of that occasion. And there'll be some characters that'll pop in. There'll be some Santa, obviously sightings at that brunch as well. And I think it's just fantastic for people to come into our space. Our hotel is fully decorated, activated for the season, and we look forward to having everybody not only come in and enjoy the hot chocolate, enjoy the brunch. We've got a lot going on over the course of that weekend. In addition to Black Santa is going to be here, obviously celebrating Celebration Bowl as we bring him in every year as part of the weekend activities. We also partner with Barack and Michelle Obama Academy, so that Friday heading into that weekend, we bring in the kids choir. They perform for all of our guests here.
That's right.
And we also bring in their dance team. And so these very talented kids, they come from obviously Barack and Michelle Obama Academy, a school that's doing really, really good work. We're fortunate to feature them here, put them on a pedestal, give them a really good VIP experience, but also they come in and entertain all of our guests as part of that occasion and that weekend.
Oh man, that sounds like fun. And I do remember those guys from last year. That was an amazing situation to see those kids out there having fun. But listen, guys, if you haven't booked your rooms already, get into the Omni. Get into the Omni before all the rooms are gone for that weekend. It is a great hotel. It's right there in the middle of everything downtown Atlanta. And look, you see, our brother is the one who is in charge, the head man in charge. Right. And we're definitely looking forward to it. What's your new chef's? Because the new South Kitchen is something that's actually new to you guys. That wasn't there last year, correct?
So it was there last year. We rebranded it. Coming really into COVID, it's now being reintroduced to the community, given some of our slowness and just ramping up out of the pandemic. But Anthony Bordeaux is our chef there, our executive chef, doing a fantastic job. It is an open kitchen concept, a beautiful dining room, windows all the way around. You know where you are. You get that sense of being in downtown Atlanta. And
sort of like your backdrop. Office here, where
exactly.
We see the beautiful backdrop of downtown Atlanta.
Exactly, yeah. So we look forward to having people come in and not only enjoy his cuisine, but just the atmosphere as a whole. It's really, we're really excited about the offerings there, really year round. But these specialty dinners, whether it's the brunches that we do over the holidays, and certainly these wine dinners that we've been fortunate to kick off with our partners, it is just a fantastic experience that we hope people take advantage of.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm going to have to make an early trip down there to see, because we'd love to do a live broadcast from the brunch if possible.
Yeah.
And we actually have a Sunday morning show that we do after that, and we can use that to close out the HBCU football season, because you all are a great partner with the Celebration Bowl, so we really appreciate everything that you and your hotel does as it relates to the HBCU space. So we definitely want to make sure that we get in if we can feature that. But we will, and I'm having one of those.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's try it again. Let me do the intro just for dexterity set. This is Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Welcome to episode 599 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, radio show and podcast show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small. From the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment. He's promised he's coming in tomorrow. We have Wilton Jackson II. We have Charles Bishop, A.D. Drew, and Dr. Paul Bryant, the Alabama A&M athletic director. With that being said, let's just jump back into it. Dr. Bryant, what were you saying? I'm sure you gave us a name or two while we couldn't hear nothing.
You know what? I gave you all the names.
I know, right?
And he swore me and Charles to secrecy.
Exactly. Exactly.
You should have been there. But I was saying that again, we've had a good quality of applicants from elementary to the professional levels. But we're excited about this process. We're doing our due diligence and vetting so that we will have the right coach for Alabama A&M. And it has been tasking, but that's what we do. And we believe in positivity, and that's what we're looking for. And I was explaining how some of the processes, how the process goes. You know, we start out by vetting the resumes, then we're going to do a Zoom, and then we're going to bring a couple people on. All of this will be completed before the end of the month of December, and it is an exciting time. So,
what an exciting time it is to be an athletic director with the state of college athletics nowadays.
Yeah.
How is that?
About that. No, you know what? Just like all things, everything changes, and so. And I was just saying, no one likes to change, but with change comes prosperity. And what we're doing, we're getting ahead of the curve, and all these changes that you talk about, NILs and paying players, and now all that stuff. So what we're doing, we're trying to put in our processes to make sure we can meet the needs of our student athletes. And we may not have the collectives and NILs like the big schools, but what we do have, we have quality staff. We have people that are going to take care of you. Not just you as a number, and I say number as a dollar figure. We're taking care of you holistically, from the spiritual end to the academic end to the athletic end to the social end, and and the mental health and nutritional. So those are the things that we focus on, and not so much on the NILs and how much money we can give you and that sort of thing.
So Dr. Bryant, let me ask you this: how hard or how easy is it to sell that to a 17, 18, 19-year-old looking to come to an institution? Obviously, we know those billion-dollar earners are realistically not looking at an Alabama A&M. But that next level of student athlete is something that I think Alabama A&M, along with other HBCUs, can realistically attain. But how do we sell that? HBCU culture, it helps, but it only takes some of these kids so far. Right. There's so many different factors. How do you sell it?
But you know what? I differ in that, because I believe what we do, we look for that student athlete who wants to be at A&M. We don't look at those pipe dreamers that say, "Oh, I want to be at University of Alabama." Well, are we going to get those? No. We want to get the people that really want to be a part of Alabama A&M. And I'm going to tell you, HBCUs in general. Did you graduate from HBCU?
Twice.
Did you?
Twice.
And I know and it has taken you guys somewhere. So I know that not only can it take you somewhere, it can make you viable into our society. And I think HBCU culture, HBCU education is second to none. And so I challenge people who say, "Well, I can't get a good education." What do you mean? We just had someone run for president who was an HBCU alum. So but at Alabama A&M, we do look for student athletes that actually want to be at Alabama A&M and get that culture of a family, that culture of being successful, because I guarantee you matriculate through our institution, you will be a successful member of society.
I know I've sent many people to the Hill from when I was coaching in the state of Alabama,
and they've been successful.
Pretty much. I think all of them that I sent to Alabama A&M finished at Alabama A&M except for one.
Yes. Okay.
Let me let Wilton jump in here and ask his question.
So AD, the question I have is, when you replace a guy like Coach Maynard, what specifically are you looking for in the next coach, and what type of culture are you still trying to build in the Alabama A&M program?
So Coach Maynard, not only was he a good coach, he was a good person. So we're looking for someone who has those qualities of being successful off the field as well. And of course, I talk about passion. Talking about passion, how do you articulate your craft when it comes to coaching? Again, I said I bring people in my office, and they have to really show me how they teach their student athletes, and that's every coach. That's just not football, but that's every coach. And if you can teach me something, then I know you can teach your student athletes. And then we include the student athletes in that process. So someone that can connect with the student athletes right now, because it can be tough connecting with our student athletes. And so we're looking for someone. We tell them, you don't have to act like an 18 or 22-year-old, but you got to think like them. And that's what we look for.
Dr. Brown, I wanted to follow up, and I know you asked a lot of questions about the framework coaching, so folks can go to the Bulldog show where you summed it up and kind of give them a little nod because they did an excellent job. But I want to ask you and the president kind of put all the chips on the table. I know we're in Atlanta, but it kind of reminded me of Las Vegas for those that like Charles, Louisiana, or something like that. I'm not going to call any names in terms of Charles. But, when it came to the Magic City Classic, you decided, let's say this way, you and the president and the rest of the team associated with Alabama A&M University decided to go in a slightly different direction of how you wanted to handle that event moving forward. At least from the attendance perspective, it seems like what you did made a lot of sense. Can you give us a little insight of whether it paid off early on and to what level and why you believe that was the case?
Yes. I think one of the things that we wanted to do, we want everyone to understand the value of our brand, and not just Alabama State and Alabama A&M, but HBCUs as a whole. We have a brand that we feel that should be compensated for who we are and what we're able to accomplish. And so as we looked at that, we said, okay, we're fine. We were fine getting the dollars that we got, but we needed better. And again, we talk about the change of the college athletics and that sort of thing. Well, we need more money. We need to have more resources for our student athletes. And doing what we were doing in the past wasn't providing that. So that was our mindset. What are you going to do to assist us in creating a different environment for our student athletes? And as we approached that table, we did get an increase. We got a significant increase. And so, and that's the way we're going to do business. And I talked about this before. If we do business with you, you have to do business with us. And we're not going to just settle for what you want to give. We're going to negotiate and talk about some things that we're supposed to have.
So definitely a quick pro quo.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. Let's follow it up, and then we'll take our first break and let you go. I know you have a business schedule. We don't want to hold you from your meal, and we certainly appreciate that. Can you talk about that from a bigger perspective, from the conference perspective? We've heard people out there talking about doing business and doing more business. We've heard that from several ADs. We've heard that from the commissioner, to be quite frankly. Where do you see that going, and how do you see that helping the SWAC in terms of its ultimate goal?
You know, Doc, I think we have the right man at the helm of our conference. And Dr. McClellan has the mindset that, again, the brand is so important and bigger than what a lot of people think. He will tell you about the attendance at our games. He will tell you about how the economic impacts have happened. And we have some of the largest, they call them bowl games. We call them classics. We have ours. I mean, we don't compare to anybody. We're elevated there. And so I think the SWAC there, we're going to be at another level with him at the helm. And I just tell you to stay tuned, because some of the things that we're going to talk about, including tomorrow, is going to be game changers for the SWAC and every institution that's in the SWAC.
Wow.
We'll certainly look forward. We want to make sure we can get you on. So this time, make sure you take my calls. I'm not going to be asked about the coach. I'm going to be asking about what those metrics were in terms of bowl games, what we call classics in terms of the HBCU arena, the sporting HBCU dashboard, I like to call it, which measures attendance. I know there's TV metrics, whether it's streaming and on air. that have significantly increased over the years. So it's good to hear that you're pushing for it. It's a negotiation, and you're using those metrics that other folks use to get the dollars that's necessary.
Absolutely. Dr. Bill, can I give one point real quick? I'm sorry.
Please do.
That I was able to capture some metrics from our homecoming. The city, I asked the city for some numbers, and I said, just give me cell phone numbers. Tell me how many cell phones were actually in my stadium from kickoff to the end of the game. We had over 30,000 cell phones in our vicinity. Now, I said, okay, look at that. And then I started digging a little bit deeper. And now I'm showing the city that we don't have games, we have events. So look at us differently when you're talking about how can we get support from the city. So you have to use those metrics to really start getting what you need.
What made you think cell phones?
Because then I want to know, okay, how many cell phones are you? So that can kind of tell you how many people, but some people have two, and that sort of thing. But I just use a time frame. Now I'm going from Thursday to Sunday. Yeah. Then I want to know. So I took it at campus. Now we actually took it a little bit wider to go in the county. That's going to show them our economic impact too for just that weekend. We're talking again over 30,000 cell phone usage. Yeah. And that gives us an opportunity to mass market as well. So those are some of the things there.
And also maybe to get a cell phone company's a number so that they can increase capacity so that everybody's cell phone actually works in the stadium.
Yes.
That was one of the main things saying, and at the time we used Verizon. That's who our partner is. And we said, look how many are in the stadium. Now we need cell towers here, here, and here. And that was something that we did this year.
And a potential private equity partner.
Okay.
I like it.
Data analytics, amazing. With that, we're going to take our first break and come back on the other side. We want to say thank you, Dr. Bryant, for joining us. Great job you're doing with the Bulldogs. And in all seriousness, keep up the great work. Continue to change lives and move people forward.
Go Bulldogs.
Appreciate you, Doc.
Go Bulldogs. Yes, indeed.
At Automasters LLC, our mission is to serve our community by providing quality automobiles at affordable prices. All of our vehicles are inspected and certified to offer you the confidence in knowing you have a quality vehicle. Our goal is to provide you with a seamless process and positive experience for your automobile purchase. Financing recommendations and specific vehicle inquiries are available at your request. You can find us at www.automasters06.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, please feel free to contact Terrence Miles at 601-927-7794. And tell him Sonia sent you.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2025? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 31st to February 2nd, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances from the Levert Experience and the Bar Cave. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends, honoring talents such as Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, and Luther Vandross. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
HBCU football fans, this year's Cricket Celebration Bowl has a new date. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 14th as the MEAC and SWAC champions meet once again. Join us in Atlanta for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
When it comes
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know 'em like I know 'em, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Gaville with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, and we have a VP and Director of Athletics from the Florida A&M Rattlers. That is D'Angela Suggs. How you doing?
Doing well.
You do that strike kind of nice there. You know?
I have a lot of practice.
Oh, Rattler to the truest sense, from a baby rattler at FAMU High all the way up.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it.
They taught us young.
And smart. That's how you get them and keep them, especially talented people. But with that being said, I know you had to hit the ground kind of running, I'd imagine, in terms of come in. So talk a little bit about how has your experience been thus far?
Sure. We're just a little bit over 60 days, and it's been great. Of course, coming in after football season has already started, our basketball teams were gearing up to start their fall camps and getting ready to go into the season. Cross country, of course, doing their thing, and the team's already ramping up, right, for the fall. We basically dove into the deep end of the pool and swam with some pretty good teammates, and it's been great. It really has. The support from the fan base, the support from our internal stakeholders as well as our external stakeholders has truly been welcoming. We have some work to do, right? But FAMU is a strong program, strong legacy, and I'm just honored to come in and continue the great work that was started well before I even arrived.
Sure. Gotcha. I'm gonna go to you, Wilton, and then go to AD and then Charles that are on site. So go ahead, Wilton, ask your question.
AD Suggs, how's it going?
Going well, thank you.
So one of my questions is, when you look at, where FAMU is now and the state of things, where do you see the next step of your vision for athletics taking place? Like, what's the next biggest thing for athletics at FAMU? What can people expect going forward?
Sure. I think it's the same thing that every program is going through right now with the settlement and with NIL and with just the changing landscape, something that we all have been looking at even since 2020, right? Things have changed with the way that fans and other stakeholders externally use their discretionary dollars to decide how they're going to spend as it relates to sports and entertainment, right? And then how do we continue to grow our programs and our events to make them cutting edge from an entertaining standpoint? Yes, our teams are on the field for those 60 minutes. We're competing in football for the other quarters and halves that we have, innings, if you will, track and field, and all that we do. But how then do we continue to add that entertainment element? The professional leagues, the college leagues, even the high schools are taking a look at entertainment and how you infuse that into having not just the thousands of fans that have been coming every year for decades, right? But how do we get those other thousands of fans that are new fans and going out? And I think that's just a strategy across the board, both internally and externally, as we look at the student athlete experience and what that means moving forward. It's not just FAMU that's looking at that. We're all looking at that. But to be able to be here, even on my way to being mic'd up, taking hugs and from colleagues, and of course you had AD Bryant on right before me and some others that we will see all weekend. We have to do this together. And how can we then just lock arms to make sure that all of our programs move forward here as we continue in the 21st century of the new landscape of athletics?
AD?
Yes.
No, that's he's talking to me on that one. Actually, I've got two questions, but I'm gonna do one right now out of respect for everybody else's time. If I can sneak the second one in, I will.
Okay.
But obviously, I know, but a lot of people may not realize, you actually matriculate all the way up through FAMU on the highest of 7 hills, from Baby Rattler at what was then called FAMU High,
Right.
now DRS. I graduated from Florida A&M. Now you've come back as the athletic director. What advantages do you think you may have had because you grew up as a Baby Rattler into a Rattler that really are helping you out with this job at hand right now?
Sure. So I know all three stanzas of the alma mater.
I can't even do that one, y'all.
That's really good. That's really good.
Yeah, no time. We
so all of this every voice. See, she really got all
I
these
know, right?
That's real good.
But in all seriousness, just really growing up and with that pride, right? Both my parents worked at the university. Now, they're not FAMU grads. My dad's a graduate of Alabama State. My mom, a graduate of Savannah State. She's actually in the Savannah State Hall of Fame for basketball. But they met, got married, Florida A&M. My mom worked in the library since the 1950s. My dad came there as a part of a federal manpower CETA program as an instructor, then went on to manage the bookstore. When he retired, he was working in housing. And so again, not only did I go to the FAMU high school, the lab school, kindergarten through 12th grade, but I just come across the street, right? My friends that were there, Dr. White's children and I would cross the street and we do our homework. Then we go watch the band practice. And so the traditions of it, I grew up in those traditions, but then to go away and then come back and add the professional element to it, right? I get the pride piece. I get the tradition piece. How then do we anchor that into aligning it with best business practices and looking at how we understand tradition? I mean, there used to be this saying, understanding your past to go to your future and those kinds of things. I get that. So I don't have to, I can kind of skip the line and, clip those courses as we used to call them and really take a look at the business piece of it. Understanding all the differences and nuances of all of our fans and being able to respect perhaps the different recommendations that would come from the fan base, but really understanding that we all want to get to the same place, which is a successful Rattler athletics program.
It's kind of fascinating listening to you because with you being steeped in the culture of FAMU, you know all the chinks in the armor and things of that nature. But I'm just curious, my background is much like yours. I grew up loving Jackson State. My grandma would say, what is better than Jackson State? That sort of thing. But just culturally, I mean, what does it mean to sort of grow up within that culture and just, I say FAMU people, they love FAMU,
right?
Much the same way the Jackson State, they love Jackson State. But I marvel at that sort of mindset. I mean, how is that? Just kind of coming up in that.
It's good, right? It's really good, and the many people saw the press conference. The tears even caught me off guard, right? In terms of me having to take a deep breath and move forward with it. But that was that moment where it was kind of like, wow, this is really happening. But also, I am serious about the responsibility that I accepted coming into this leadership role. In talking about the legacy that we will build, right, and leave, and how we move our program into championships, not just from a hardware perspective, but we want to win it all. The highest, best graduation rates, APR, putting our student athletes into leadership positions so that when they come back, we're saying that the CEO of X organization or the president of Y organization or whoever it is that is fostering leadership across the globe, that they were able to come and build those leadership skills as student athletes here at Florida A&M, but also to be able to prioritize rather the experience of not just our student athletes, of course they're top of mind, but our fan base. having them to have a great experience, but also our coaches and our staff, for them to have a great experience.
Sure.
We're talking about Team FAMU. Came in saying it's not just the athletics department. It's the FAMU athletics department. And that means across the campus, everyone that's involved, from plant operations and maintenance, finance and administration, student affairs and housing, dining services, all of these entities play a part into our student athletes being able to go out and be successful.
Very interesting.
Very.
As we ask this last question so we can let you go when we get to the next one, I did want to ask the extension of that, understanding the breadth of higher education, from the responsibilities across the landscape, and how it really takes all of those pieces to come together to create the championship atmosphere and championships trophies that you speak of, that any institution, but specifically FAMU, wants to see. Right. Talk about some key items that you believe are necessary to create those strategic alignments, I would call it, across a campus to have success.
Certainly, and relationships are important. That I was there for 9.5 years before going to the Florida Sports Foundation, but 7.5 years is a long time that I've been gone. And so there are other VPs, other vice presidents of divisions that it's essential that I build relationships with them. Taking a look at the FAMU Foundation and how that aligns with, as we talk about raising resources, we can't raise them in a vacuum or in a silo. That it has to go along with the programming and the strategies that are existing as it relates to fundraising and revenue generation campus-wide. Because while we have a large alumni base and perhaps corporate sponsorship opportunities and base, we're still one FAMU.
Sure.
And we don't want to have any type of lack of synergy as it relates to our approach and solicitation of support into the university. Because again, we want to be able to bring that support in for the entire university. Of course, athletics has an opportunity to reach millions in seconds.
Sure.
And with that, we want to continue to raise our value as a program to the university overall, increase a quick awareness, right? Participation and understanding what the university has to offer, because as we then are able to showcase our programs throughout the media, that then also gives people a chance to see FAMU.
Sure.
With that being said, I want to say thanks, Angela Suggs, Vice President and Director of Athletics at Florida A&M. The Rattlers continue to do what they do, but we want to thank you for your time. We're going to take our next break, and we'll come right back on the other side. Those fangs, boy. Woo-wee.
Right. Fangs up. Let's say go JSU this weekend.
I know. Exactly. What's Swag Love this week?
That's right.
Exactly. I'll throw it up. Yeah. How about that?
All right. Thank you all.
We'll be right back after this next break.
HBCU football fans, a champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 14th. MEAC champions, SWAC champions, the Cricket Celebration Bowl, crowning an HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have the athletic director from Prairie View A&M University, Mr. Golf. Golf, how you doing?
I'm good, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I like that hat on with the Texas, the P.
Yeah, you know,
I like it. That's a nice little look.
I keep a little flair.
You do. So I guess we gonna start it off. I know you're gonna tell us who the new coach is.
Breaking news.
Yeah. Breaking news.
But all seriousness, how's the search going?
Good, man. Good. I'm excited about it, man. You know what the search firm told me, man. They were like, you know, we thought there'd be a lot of interest. We didn't know there'd be this much interest, right? And so, you know, they were pleasantly surprised. And I tried to tell them about the brand of Prairie View and how many people is going to covet this job. And, you know, I was proven right on that. It's a great candidate pool and going through it, man. And, you know, for me, it's about finding the best person that's going to fit what we need at Prairie View. It's not about the best person I know. It's not about the best person that's ever worked at Prairie View. It's not about the best PV alum. You know, not about the best person that's worked in a SWAC school. Like, it's the best person I'm about to find that can take us to an elevation that we haven't been before.
Great points, and I know you get a lot of pointers of who the next coach should be. So it's good that you have your metrics that you're using, that you stay true to. And I'm not sure if everybody really understands that you've trained in understanding the goals of the university, your president, the alumni in terms of what they want to see, but trying to create that synergy to select who you want. So it's good to hear that. With that being said, I'm going to go to you, Charles, back to you to let you ask your follow-up question.
Yeah,
and as you get in there, be careful. That's my AD right there.
I know. I got to be careful with your AD here. And I wanted to ask, especially with the speed at which things happen in college athletics, in terms of just finding the right candidate and the time frame. How I guess I want to ask, how important is it that you move with some speed to find the right person and to sort of make sure they integrate themselves within the Prairie View community?
Yeah, no, it's super important because, you know, as soon as you make a decision to change a coach, you're behind the 8 ball in recruiting, right? Because anybody you recruited, now they're kind of like, well, I don't know who the next person is, right? Then because of this transfer portal thing, so it's some of the guys on the team with uncertainty on who's going to be the new coach, they may decide to jump in the portal, right? There's guys out there in the portal right now trying to make decisions, but it's like, I might be interested in PV, but I'm not sure if I can commit right now, right? Because obviously right now, the coaching staff that we have there really don't have the ability to actually sign somebody because, you know, you never know. They sign somebody, they come in there, new head coach comes in, like, that's not what I was looking for, right? And so the speed is definitely important, but the process is important, right? And the process of, you know, checking the boxes that I'm looking for, you know, somebody that I feel like understands the importance of the position, somebody who is a great communicator, not just with student athletes, but with other coaches, with administrators, with corporate sponsors, with alumni, right? Somebody who understands what we call at PV the recruiting triangle, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio area, right? Those are just some of the boxes that I need to check, right? And so, and looking for someone who's able to do some of that and a lot more, we could talk about it all day. I've got to go through a process, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what we're doing right now.
Wilton.
My question is this: how would you describe, from where you sit as the AD, what would you describe the culture of Prairie View athletics right now? I know with several things you just mentioned, obviously transfer portal, you know, players, not players, name, image, and likeness, NIL. Where would you put a gauge on where PV's athletics is right now, or takes athletics right now? I'm sorry.
So I would say we're a work in progress, right? And I say that because I've got to set the culture. So I've been there a year and 4 months, right? And so I think from what we're doing, this move that we made, I think everybody understands that there's a different standard right now that, you know, we're trying to get to another level, right? I put money into facilities. We're obviously having a brand new football coach search right now. We are trying to make sure that we are what I want to say is the model FCS program, right? And that's across the board, football and the rest of our sports. And so we're a work in progress. I've just submitted my my strategic plan to my president and to our cabinet, and so they're reviewing that. And once I'm getting the full approval of that, then we'll have that what we call our navigation plane, right? Of where we're going, how we're doing it. Now, for me, it's about our 5 pillars: academic, athletic, community service, career development, personal development. Every single one of our decisions will have hopefully a positive effect on one of those 5 Panther pillars. And so we're a work in progress.
I like that. Panther pillars. 80?
All right. As you go through this search, and I'm trying to say, one thing that a lot of people find out with these hires, just because a person can cook, don't mean they can run the restaurant.
No doubt.
So what characteristics, as you go through all the resumes and LinkedIn's and emails and everything that you have to go through, what type of characteristics are you looking for to tell if a person who we know can cook, they wouldn't even be considering if they can cook, but can they run the restaurant? What kind of characteristics are you looking for?
So when it comes to that, one, okay, if I'm looking at someone who's been a head coach, right? Someone's been a head coach, then I can tell if they can run a restaurant, right? If they haven't been a head coach, then I need to know what lineage they have, right? What other programs have they been with, right? Have they been winning programs? Who are their mentors? What coaches are their mentors that they are going to take? Because we've all been mentored by people that we take little bits from and kind of make it of our own. So who's been this coach's mentors, right? And so that'll give me an indication of whether the guy can run the restaurant or not.
Great.
I'll ask you from this perspective, and we'll let you get back to your rest of your evening. I know you have that full schedule. With that being said, once a decision is made, we want to put the plug in. I know a lot of folks are coming in saying they want the interview, but it's just something special about the inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We want to put our plug in to be the first place. You're gonna do all this pomp and circumstances on campus. You're gonna send out everything that's appropriate, but the first interview stop needs to be the inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Can you make that happen?
Listen, you got my cell phone. When you call me, I pick up.
All right, bet.
You know what I'm saying? I have I ever not picked up for you or returned a text from you?
No, sir.
There you
Quickly
go.
At that.
There you
Quickly
go.
Like that, I might ask something. I'm surprised. I'm like,
all you gotta do is hit me, brother. I got you.
All right. With that being said, enjoy the rest of your evening. Always a pleasure to talk with you. Taking care of business down there on the hill, as we like to say. I know some other schools that we interviewed, ADs like to think they got a hill, but With that being said, we'll take off next break and come back on the other side. We have one more AD that we want to share some love with, and then we'll talk a little bit about the game as we talk about the matchup. Stick with us. Be right back after this break.
HBCU football fans, this year's Cricket Celebration Bowl has a new date. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 14th as the MEAC and SWAC champions meet once again. Join us in Atlanta for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit the Celebration Bowl.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2025? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 31st to February 2nd, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances from the Levert Experience and the Bar Cave. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends, honoring talents such as Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, and Luther Vandross. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
ESPN ESPN Events Band of the Year, a title reserved for the absolute best in the world of HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 13th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be adjudicated by expert judges in the world of college bands. 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for ranking updates throughout the season, and join us at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Tickets are on sale now for the 4th annual NBA HBCU Classic presented by AT&T, featuring Morehouse College and Tuskegee University. Don't miss this action-packed event happening at NBA All-Star 2025 and filled with competitive matchup and marching band performances celebrating HBCU pride. See you in the Bay.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, as we have none other than Dwayne Robinson. He was appointed as the new director of athletics at Alcorn State University. With that being said, how you doing?
I am doing well. How you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I know we had your colleague, Angela Suggs, FAMU, and she came in like in the middle of football season. You had just a little bit more runway.
Yeah, just a little bit, maybe.
Not much, just a little bit more runway. So I guess the first question is just ask you, really, I'm not sure you had a chance to take a breather, so this may be just a little bit of it. But with that being said, how has it been?
Well, I tell you, man, it has been an amazing opportunity thus far. Coming in kind of 3 games into the season, you kind of embrace it the best way you can. The first thing you do is love up on your alumni and listen to them and hear their, take all the bullets. Wins if you get some. But it has been amazing. The Alcornites, man, are a great fan base. To me, they're the best fan base in HBCU sports. And I think I'm really excited and happy to be the AD at Alcorn under Dr. Tracy Cook, who is our president right now. And I think he's going to do an amazing job as well. And it's a partnership that we have. And that's what makes it work really for us. And our fans are just amazing. So it's been good. It's been good. Got to bring some new people on board to do some things and help out, which I'm actively engaged in that. Of course, we're always fundraising, trying to create some new opportunities. Got some new facility ideas that we're going to be implementing here soon. So it's a great time to be at Alcorn right now.
Good stuff. Good stuff. With that being said, Wilton, I'm going to let you get the first question.
Eddie Robinson, I have to say this before I ask my question. Coming down to Lorman every other year for the Soul Bowl, it's nothing like being in that stadium and just being on that campus. It's always a good time when I come down for that game. But I want to ask this: having still getting adjusted into this first year, what's been some of the bigger challenges for you? Kind of coming into this role.
Well, right now I would say I haven't. It's only been 80 days or so.
Yeah.
So for me, it's primarily infrastructure on my side. My fans are great, so I'm having to analyze the infrastructure, operations, how we do things, putting the right people in the right places, the right pieces together. So just kind of doing an overall analysis of the department, kind of by myself, in the sense of, Robert Raines was the interim, he's a really dear friend of mine who served as athletic director at Alcorn. So it's great to have him a part of our staff. Ms. LaToya Williams does a great job in our communications department, but we got to put some pieces together. So if nothing else, that's kind of been the thing right now is putting the pieces together, analyzing the infrastructure that we have, analyzing the infrastructure that we have, and just kind of make it work. And right now, and putting those pieces together, AD Drew, who's sitting here beside me, has had to come in and do some great things in our sports information department. He's really helped us out a lot. So right now, I would say if there was a challenge, it is putting the infrastructure together, because the fans are great. Of course, fans are going to be fans. You got a quarterback, you got a coach on Monday, and then you got coaches on Friday. And everybody's a coach on Saturday. So roll with that. That's in every athletic department.
Yeah.
So that I would say anything. I'm going to take full responsibility and say it's my infrastructure that I'm trying to pull together right now.
I've been known to call a player too, but with that being said, you spoke about 80. I don't know how good it was because it never was relayed, but in my mind,
I will tell you this: that Jackson State game on our campus, man, and that what we have down at Alcorn is something special. We got enough land down there for everybody to come out and have a party. And it is an amazing atmosphere.
I camped out. Yes,
that atmosphere that we have down there, man. People complain a little bit about getting in, but once you're in, brother, it is like one big family outing for everybody, and nobody's a stranger.
I'm gonna pass it to
I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I'm gonna pass it to AD Drew to get your question in here. But before you say that, to your point, as you was talking about all the fans, I have a best friend out of Dallas, and he makes different trips, and so he kind of rolled down there solo and said he just wanted the experience. He couldn't give enough praise in terms of the atmosphere, and just so this is literally somebody that didn't grow up with it like Wilton or Charles. AD you getting a chance to be amongst it, working in some capacities and helping out, but he was from the outside, a SWAC fan, but his first experience down there specifically for Jackson State Alcorn, he said he just was outdone. So AD Drew, go ahead.
AD Robinson.
That's Alan Williams.
Say it again.
I was just saying that was Alan Williams giving him a shout out, but go ahead.
Oh, okay, I got you. AD Robinson, your first opportunity to come here to the Celebration Bowl as an athletic director.
Mm-hmm.
So what has been different about coming here in your role this year than in years past that you've come here? And what do you expect to get out of it this year in your current position?
Well, right now, it's the camaraderie amongst my peers. I have some great friends that I've been in this business for 25 years. I kind of know a whole lot of people. So coming in this role allows me to be amongst the decision makers, being in those meetings with the commissioner, being a part of that growth that the SWAC has right now. In this role, I have a voice, which is amazing for me because having the years of experience that I have, I can speak, from longevity and experience. And when I talk to my peers, we all have been in this business a long time, but quite a few of us. So, and being kind of amongst the same age group. So when we talk, we all listen to each other. We're not the old guys in the room, but we're the experienced guys in the room. So it's just been great as we've talked over the years. All of us have been supporting each other, become an athletic director. So coming here to the Celebration Bowl, I've been associated with it for quite some time. I hope to come back here participating with the team. But it is good to be amongst my counterparts and just being in the room and having a voice.
Yeah.
So
great.
Good stuff. We'll let you out of here after this. We're gonna let Charles ask the follow-up.
Well, I'm gonna go back and ask you about the fan base and growing up in Mississippi, cousins, aunts, Alcornites, hardcore. I think every fan base has a uniqueness to them, but it's something about Alcornites. Listen, when Jackson State plays Alcorn, listen, I don't hear from my family. So I ask this joke. Thanksgiving is kind of weird.
Yeah.
So I'm just what is the uniqueness and what is it that they just absolutely love about the reservation?
Well, we have a saying about Alcorn.
Mm-hmm.
The air
is different.
It's cleaner.
Yeah.
The grass
is greener. They remind me.
And the water is sweeter.
It's sweeter. Yeah.
And I'm almost tend to believe that.
Hey, you better believe it in your role.
I graduated in 1970. I started my athletic career there in 1999 as a golf coach and working in agricultural extension. And I tell all of my recruits and parents, and I tell you one thing I did, just talking about the alumni, I've been at 8 different institutions, HBCUs and 1 PWI. I've never seen the passion that this group of people have for a university. I mean, they are so passionate, but respectful, but passionate. I tell any kid, if you stay at Alcorn past a year, because it's a place where it allows you to grow. And I say this about all HBCUs. HBCUs give our kids an opportunity to be creative and express themselves. Alcorn can give you a little bit of those days when you want to be by yourself, when you want to be creative, or when you want to, if you need to get away. You can go, if you never had fish before, you can go, never done that kind of stuff. If you want to, you will see all the wildlife we got down there. Some stuff and it doesn't bother you. But it's just laid back and cool.
Yeah, my first hunting experience is down
you know what I'm saying?
those parts.
So being remote like that is cool, but it just allows for so much expression and it kind of brings you in a little bit, a lot actually. So, and I can understand that, being the athletic director now and talking to many more of our alumni, man, it is just an amazing atmosphere, especially during football season. One of the things I'm doing now is not advocating, because that's part of my role, but I am getting my fans and my alumni to embrace all of our programs overall. And not saying that they haven't done that in the past, but we've had, great track program at one point. We want to get back to that and bring those alumni in. We had a great tennis program at one point. We've won championships in every sport that we have. So now it's galvanizing all of that support, not just for Alcorn, and the fact that our president, man, played football there, graduated there, and has been in that area, and they love him. And I tell people all the time, I am in the right place at the right time at Alcorn State University.
No doubt.
Yep.
A perfect way to end it. That's a statement and a mic drop. With that being said, we're going to take our last break. We'll come back on the other side, and we'll get in some final points on the football game just to give you some insights from these three gentlemen. With that being said, let's take our last break, and we'll come back on the other side and give you those pointers.
At AutoMasters LLC, our mission is to serve our community by providing quality automobiles at affordable prices. All of our vehicles are inspected and certified to offer you the confidence in knowing you have a quality vehicle. Our goal is to provide you with a seamless process and positive experience for your automobile purchase. Financing recommendations and specific vehicle inquiries are available at your request. You can find us at www.automasters06.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, please feel free to contact Terrence Miles at 601-927-7794. And oh yeah, tell him Sonia sent you.
Morehouse College and Tuskegee University men's basketball teams were selected to compete in the 2025 NBA HBCU Classic presented by AT&T. The fourth annual NBA HBCU Classic will be played in the Bay Area as part of NBA All-Star 2025 and will once again celebrate the rich traditions, on-court athleticism, and commitment to excellence of the HBCU community. For tickets, visit nba.com/all-star.
HBCU football fans, this year's Cricket Celebration Bowl has a new date. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 14th as the MEAC and SWAC champions meet once again. Join us in Atlanta for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit the Celebration Bowl.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2025? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 31st to February 2nd, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances from the Levert Experience and the Bar Cave. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends, honoring talents such as Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, and Luther Vandross. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
ESPN Events Band of the Year, a title reserved for the absolute best in the world of HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 13th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be adjudicated by expert judges in the world of college bands. 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for ranking updates throughout the season. And join us at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th for event and ticket information.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, we have the professors live in Atlanta. 2 of them on site at the Omni and 1 in his room. He's on probation. We're gonna let you out a little bit. In all seriousness, I appreciate you putting a little bit of this extra time. No, it's been a long day, so we're gonna get in there. But as we promised, we had some of the pregame festivities, if you would. Now it's time to get into the matchup. In terms of the matchup, I'm just fascinated. I don't think we have really had a chance to realize what we have in front of us on Saturday. We have clearly the top 2 HBCU programs. I know some people want to argue about a 3 or 4. No, we got clearly the top 2 HBCU programs at the FCS level. We got the number 1 Jackson State Tigers coming in at 11-2, winners of the SWAC championship game, playing 8 conference games. They're 8-0. You have number 2 South Carolina State Bulldogs coming in 9-2 overall, 5-0 in the MEAC, winning their conference as well. Then you got FCS rankings. At the FCS rankings, according to the AFCA FCS coaches poll, you have Jackson State that comes in at number 15. South Carolina State comes in at number 18. So you got a top 20 matchup among all FCS programs. You got the top 2 programs clearly in my point of view. So I want to break you down from a defensive perspective because they say defenses win championships. So I want to get your perspective of what this looks like. On the defensive side of the ball, you got overall defense, if you would, scoring. You got South Carolina State that comes in at 19.6. They're just behind North Carolina Central. That was ranked number 1 in conference in terms of just conference games, right? But on the other side, you have Jackson State that comes in number 1 in terms of defense. That's 15.9 in terms of their matchup. Well, as I told you about this overall FCS, let me give you in terms of the FCS matchup to let you know that these are top teams as well. Top 20 in terms of their defensive data. You got South Carolina State 19 ranked overall in terms of giving up 20.9 points a game in terms of what they did all their games across the season. Then you have Jackson State at 10, 17.92. Not a lot of difference there when you think about it, but in terms of those point differentials. So I'm fascinated to see. Again, I'm going to come to you, AD Drew. I want to get your thoughts in terms of the defensive side of the ball. What stands out to you from both teams of what they can do to you defensively?
What stands out? Both of them can shut you down defensively. That's what point blank stands you out when you look at these 2 teams. Because of where I'm at right now, I don't have the numbers in front of me. So I'm going to go with the eye test right now, Dr. Kabir.
Awesome.
Jackson State, we know for the last 8-9 games of the season, if you don't have it by halftime, you're not getting it against Jackson State. I mean,
that's right.
And South Carolina State, outside of the North Carolina Central game, has pretty much been the same way, especially in interconference play.
Yeah.
So the thing defensively, and you said just defense, whose defense is going to be able to create either a turnover for a score or a short field for their offense? That's going to be the difference in this game defensively, in my opinion.
Good stuff. I'm going to go to you, Charles, in terms of your thoughts. Same thing, defensive perspective, but I want to look at matchups. I'm going to choose the South Carolina State. The big game was a Thursday night game at home, if you would, against North Carolina Central. A lot of ways a defensive slugfest. They were able to jump out in front, but they were able to hold on in the second half. If you think about that being one of the better games and better teams they had, how does Central compare to what you see with Jackson State from an offense perspective? And then juxtapose that, looking at Jackson State, still defensively, but the team that I'm going to match them up with, oddly enough, I also played South Carolina State, but FAMU, since that was a home game, is one of them. But the one I'm going to look at, because I want to do it similar in terms of South Carolina State, since they were home, I'm going to stick with that FAMU game. Jackson State was at home. FAMU came in, played really solid, close game until late. And in that game, actually, defense made some key plays, much like South Carolina State. When you kind of look at those type of matchups, what do you think about the defenses of these two teams?
And that's a good comparison. I think when you take a look back at the FAMU game, Jackson State's defensive line started to get home late in that game. And I think that's one of the things that I'm really paying attention to is as to can they get to Eric Phoenix? Can they get him, out of sync, if you will?
Off schedule.
Off schedule. That's the exact word I was looking for. Get him into some down and distance situations where you can sort of keep him in front of you, because I think he's one of those guys that, he can hurt you with his arm and his leg. So that's one of the things that, when you get into some down and distance sort of deals, can they win on first and second down? Can they kind of what has jumped out for me with Jackson State is they've been able to stop everybody's running game, and they sort of kind of make you one dimensional. So, and you start seeing some of those down and distance sort of situations where they can just pin their ears back and come at you. So that's something that I'm really kind of paying attention to. The intangible, Dr. Cavill, and I've seen it up close, is in a game like this, national championship game, which team gets out of character? Is there a something? Do they start pressing and start doing things that they haven't characteristically done all season? And that's, some of those things when you start talking about assignment and alignment, you start doing more than, what you typically would have been doing because you start pressing. So I'm always curious to see if those little things kind of play into it.
Can I ask a question
Wilton,
on that?
Yeah, let Wilton get in here, and then I'll bring it back to you to follow up what that looks like, and then we'll turn to some offense before we call it a show. But with that being said, Wilton, I want to look at it still from a defensive perspective, but I'm going to put up some names here for you to put them in there. McDaniel, in terms of what he does defensively for Jackson State with his sacks, is fascinating to me. But then you turn around and look at Aaron Smith in terms of total tackles for South Carolina State. Juxtapose these defenses when you talk about, somebody that leads the conference for the MEAC in terms of the conference games and tackles, but then on the other side, you have a leader for Jackson State in terms of what he does with sacks. Juxtapose that, and what are you looking at when you talk about defense for these two teams?
When I look at South Carolina State, and specifically with Aaron Smith, you're talking about a straight dog who can pretty much do a little bit of everything. I remember talking to Coach Beard in the beginning of the season. He was really, really high on Smith's athleticism at that linebacker position. And you just kind of, just gave some of the numbers. Like he's second in the MEAC in solo tackles and sixth in the MEAC in total tackles. He's just pretty much literally when I think of him as like the heart of their defense for South Carolina State. But beyond just Smith, though, one thing that I noticed about their defense specifically, they can get after the quarterback. Like they have, I think, roughly 36 sacks on the season. They've gotten 36 sacks on the season, first in the MEAC. So they getting after the quarterback. So it's going to be very important for Jackson State's offensive line to make sure that they know where, players like Diego Addison and Jaden Broad and Aaron Smith, all those players, they're going to have to make sure to know and keep an eye on them on the field. And I think more so with Robert McDaniel, we just saw his impact last week. 2 interceptions against Southern in the SWAC championship, not even playing in his normal position. So his impact was definitely felt. And one thing I also noticed about this Jackson State defense is that TC talks about it a lot. This is a team that's built for December. They've had a lot of injuries in different areas on the team, and specifically even on defense at times. So being able to have other players to step up and fill in gaps, specifically to make plays when needed, that's one thing I could truly say about this defense. So, you have your Joshua Nobles, your True Thompsons, your Jeremiah Williams, Ashton Taylors, Reed Pulliam at linebacker for Jackson State. I expect those guys to be ready for Saturday's game.
Good stuff. Shout out as he did that beta new kick slide. That was kind of nice there. I must say.
That was dope. That was dope.
Speaking of Alcorn, obviously he transferred over, but wanted to give him some love, rightfully so. That's how you do it. That's how you show that. Much love to the six there. Got a reason to pull for Jackson State outside of the swag. Right? Let's go offensively. But before we do that, I know AD wanted to get a question in there. Go ahead, AD.
And this is kind of a general question. This is neither offense or defense. But one thing that I've seen from the Celebration Bowls is because of the time off, the BAC teams practice some things that they don't do during the regular season and are always able to come up with a new wrinkle.
A rabbit in the hat.
A rabbit in the hat, a trick play or something something like that. Do we think we're gonna? I know we're gonna see it. How soon into the game do we think we're gonna see that play we've never seen or that formation that we've never seen before?
Depends on where they are on the field. I'm gonna go back specifically to the North Carolina Central rabbit in the hat.
Oh yeah,
I had watched practice all week. They were ready for that, and they snuck it in. And we were standing over on the sideline. I'm like, oh my God, they had practiced for that all week and they got it past them. So that's when I started thinking about just little things that, you prepared and you start pressing and things of that nature, and you just let the little things slip past you.
Yeah.
Wilton, when do you think it's going to come out? Trick play. Who's going to do it first?
I would probably say South Carolina State. But knowing a coach like Tennis Bear, I don't think he would do something like that in like the first quarter. I think it would come in somewhere maybe like if depending on where the cushion of the lead is, maybe somewhere in like the second quarter, maybe before halftime, depending on how things are.
I like it. I like it.
Last
question we'll have here.
Punt, something to be
yeah, I like it. Hey, it was a great question, A&E Drew. Perfect one in terms of the synergy because that's the special teams. Mm-hmm. So we'll let that talk about from a special teams standpoint. Trick plays in a lot of ways happen to be there, and if not, you need to be special on doing it. Shout out again to Robert McDonald. Since we had Alcorn State and we talk about Jackson State, show him some love from Alcorn State, Delta Kappa down there.
Kappa, DK.
As he brought it home 06 to the there. With that being said, I want to look like talking about offensively. What do we have going on with these teams from that perspective? Offensive, obviously, for Jackson State, you got to look at Irv Mulligan. I had a chance to do some voting, and he had my vote for a national individual best position, top 11 that they were looking at various positions, and I had him as my top running back coming out, just to let you know how much I really appreciate what he's got done from that perspective. But when you look at it in terms of offensively for the MEAC, when you look at names, it's going to be interesting when you talk about South Carolina State. From the perspective of rushing, you got Adams that's really solid in terms of what he brings to the table. Top 5 in the conference from a MEAC perspective. Charles, I want to get your thoughts in terms of what do you look to see in this game? I think a lot of people are going to think that both teams are going to seek to establish the run. They want to see if the offense, as they like to play, can be physical, but can they oppose it a little bit on the other team's defense? I'm not sure how that's going to play out early. So would anybody come in there and try to pass? And if they do, who do you think would have a better opportunity passing the ball if they can't try to run early?
I think South Carolina State would have a better opportunity passing the ball. I think Eric Phoenix has proven himself throughout the course of the season as a very capable passer. I would say with regards to Jackson State, obviously, you game plan to stop Irv Mulligan, but I think that's where it has opened up things downfield for a guy like Jonas Fertilli, a young man who's 6'5", 220 pounds, and he can fly. And he gets his one-on-one opportunities. Can Jackson State win those one-on-one opportunities when you do suck that safety in and he gets that one-on-one? Will he get an opportunity to go up and go make a play?
Wilton, to come to you, and I'll save AD for last in terms of this offensive perspective. When you look at it offensively, both teams are number one, unlike defense, where South Carolina State was 2. Jackson State is 1, and they put up 39.5 points a game. That's over their 8 contests. But look at this. South Carolina State is also 1, and they put up 47.6 a game in terms of what they're doing over their 5 games in the MEAC. You just told me how tough these defenses are. Are you looking for an edge of one of these teams that maybe do a little more offense than the other?
I think it's going to come down to, as crazy as this sounds, I just told you about which defense or both defenses are good, and it's going to come down to which defense on the defensive side of the ball can get a stop. But then also from an offensive standpoint, it's got to be which team's offense can make that big play or that most explosive play when the time is needed, whether it's a big explosive play to potentially, get a game-winning field goal. What does that look like? It could be an explosive run. Like, just look at an example last week with Jackson State and Southern when Zy McDonald came in the game. As soon as Jacobian Morgan went down, Zy McDonald came in and gave Jackson State a huge run that set up that touchdown right before halftime, which was probably the biggest touchdown of the game. So I think when you look at, when you start talking about the offenses competing in this game, it could be very well a situation like that, a play that could really flip the switch, especially if both defenses are playing well. And I would be remiss if I didn't say this. Like, I think we've talked about all the skill players, specifically on both sides. We need to make sure that we give plenty of love to these offensive lines because they've been dominant all season. They've had lots of continuity on both sides. Even with South Carolina State offensive line, you're talking about Cam Johnson, Eric Brown, Nick Tace, and then, you talk about Jackson State's offensive line. I was doing some numbers. With most of their starters, it's like 80. They've had like 86 starts combined over 2 seasons. So we're really going to see which of these teams' offensive line is the most physical in this game.
Yeah.
Talking about, as I said, voted. I got to vote for 5 offensive linemen. I had 1 from Jackson State and 1 from South Carolina State because I thought they were that impressive on the year. To your point, going to you, AD, Drew. Giving you the total scoring for all of their games at the national level. You have South Carolina State ranked 12. While they are a little below 10 points or so below their conference, they still overall put up 35.5 points a game. You have Jackson State number 5 overall in terms of their 13 games, and they put up 37.1. So when you look at it overall, they're a little closer in terms of what they are in terms of the average. So it's going to be fascinating. So I want to see in your mind, as you break down offensively, do you give an edge to either one of them? And if you so, which one do you believe can have their offense be a little more effective against the opposing team's defense, and why?
I give the edge to the one who drives the ball the furthest, Dr. Cavill. I give the edge to the one that scores 1 point more than the other team. Dr.
That's
Cavill.
smart. That's smart. You can't lose that way.
These two teams are so close together, Dr. Cavill.
It really is.
But one thing that and I'm just going back through this in my head, don't have any quantitative data on this, but it has always seemed in the Celebration Bowl, the team with the dominant running back has been the winner. I think back to those. I think back to those A&T games, those Grambling games, back early Celebration Bowl, even
last year,
even the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But last year was a little bit different though. FAMU came in with multiple running backs. One of them broke out.
Yeah,
but FAMU did not really have a dominant running back, but they had 3 running backs, and one of them broke out.
Yeah,
will we see a repeat of that this year with South Carolina State? As we know, they have a 3-headed monster there in their backfield, or will we see the dominant back at Jackson State? be the breakout, and their team wins. So this game is going to be controlled by the run game, and whose team is either able to establish the run game, and the run game is going to lead to play action, which is going to set up these quarterbacks to get some of those big strikes down the field when teams are going cover zero to stop the run game. That's where I think the key is going to be offensive. Who can get the team to get those safeties and linebackers up and need those receivers out there one-on-one with those corners.
And let's not forget, are the quarterbacks healthy?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something
that's
just
a big question. Yeah,
I was going to end on that. We've hearing that all the quarterbacks are playing. I don't know how much of that is coach speak. But do you think even if the starters that have played most of the season, do you think the backups will have some special packages regardless in this matchup? Even if they don't start?
I think they're going to be ready to go. They're going to be ready with more than packages, Dr. Cavill. And let's see if Jay's Gibby 5 is, let me introduce you to the quarterbacks who may play today. That might be Jay's Gibby 5 on Saturday, y'all.
That's a good one. That's a good one. With that being said, I think it's pretty obvious where two of you are going, so I won't insult you and ask you your thoughts on the matchup. Unless you just care to share. But with that being said, great show. You be safe out there. I certainly hold it down until I'm able to get there tomorrow. And Wilton will let you off punishment and let you get out there. And we appreciate you for hanging in there with us. With that being said, thank you
Doc,
for listening.
Before you close out, can I say something real quick before you close? Just want to make sure that we remind everybody to check us out tomorrow. We will be live from Radio Row. Carlos Brown will be in the building. AD Drew will be in the building. Coach Ferrasi will be in the building. Charles Bishop will be in the building. And we'll have a lot of stuff. We'll have the crew in the setup there covering HBCU sports like no one else does for you. It's the Lab. It's the Carlos Brown Show. It's the Sports Wrap. It's the ONG Strike Zone. It is the Black College Sports Network. Thank you.
Well done. I'm glad that you put that in there. Slipped my mind as I'm still on assignment. I want to thank all of y'all for getting down there early and holding it down. Since I couldn't be there, traditionally, Charles, we like to get in Wednesday and take us a day to kind of take it in before we commit to all the work. But you all are down there making sure you represent. So I want to personally say thank you. And I can't wait to get down there. With that, save me some drinks. Save me some unwind. Save me some food, man. Save me something, man. Don't do it all. Don't smoke it all. Don't save some. Save some.
I got you. We get ready to close this thing out.
Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop, AD Drew, Wilton Jackson II. Again, I want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock. And we will be back Sunday at 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern, with Show 600, which we will unveil our champion based on whoever comes out the winner of the Celebration Bowl, but we'll do it officially on Sunday. With that, we'll call it a show. We'll see you on the other side. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, DrKenyattacavil, Facebook and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube and Facebook. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Wilton?
Of course.
Charles?
Lecture.
AD?
Dismissed.